Let's learn how to make a perfect medium rare steak with a beautiful crust and a perfectly cooked interior. There are about 4 steps in mind, or things to keep in mind in order to make a good steak. Number 1 is the seasoning. So seasonings can be very simple, and to show that, I'm going to use a very bare bones seasoning here, plus our secret ingredient. We're using 2 types of salt. One is regular table salt to season, and second is Maldon to finish. Freshly ground black pepper, butter, and our secret ingredient, nutritional yeast. That can be found in either the vegan section of your local grocery store or in the health food section. I've heard it described as a sort of cheesy flavor, but to me it kind of tastes just like a general umami flavor. Second is searing. We're going to sear at a relatively high heat. That gives us a good crust, which basically just gives it a good color on the outside of the steak, and then we're going to finish it in the oven to cook it evenly. The third is resting. We'll be resting the steak 3 times during the cooking process. 1 before we start cooking it to get the outside of the steak to room temperature so it's better to sear. We'll rest it after we sear it. That makes it so that the meat closest to the crust won't be overcooked while the rest of it is undercooked. And finally, out of the oven will come our final sear, and that will help the entire steak come to the desired temperature. And finally is the temperature. For a medium rare, which is the most common cook you'll see on the steak, we're going to need the internal temperature to be 130 degrees, but we're actually going to take it out when the internal temp of the steak reaches 125 and then help it naturally come up to 130. So step 1 is to take the steak out of the fridge and let it come to about room temperature before cooking it. This took me about 1 hour. I got this great cut of tenderloin from a local store, but you can pretty much use any cut of beef and get a similar result. Next, get your oven preheating to about 350 degrees and get a pan nice and hot. Then let's grab a little vegetable oil and get it hot. It should basically be smoking, but not quite that hot. We'll then season the steak with salt, pepper, and nutritional yeast on all sides, sort of rubbing it into the steak. Then we'll sear until we get a nice color, sear on the other side, then just try to get the 4 sides of the steak. Next, let it rest. I've let it rest at this stage for about 20 minutes. After that, we'll put it into our oven until the internal temperature reaches about 125 degrees. For me, this took about 12 minutes because of how thick the steak was. Once you've done enough steak, you'll be able to test using the feel of the steak, but I'm not there yet, so you'll probably also need a meat thermometer. After it comes out of the oven, we'll need to let it rest until it comes up to about 130 degrees. For me, this took maybe 3 minutes. Let's finish it with some Maldon salt. Then our hard work and patience has paid off. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next video. I'm obviously a very new channel, so your support means the world to me, and I've really enjoyed reading all the nice comments that people have been leaving so far. I'll see you next time.